Uncover the secrets of the world's most dangerous magic show. I have to. The people who invented these tricks are all geniuses. Classic arrow swallowing performance. There are at least 2 ways to do it. Here's the simple one. The sword is designed to be rolled up by applying pressure. But professional performers do use real swords. The entire sword swallowing process requires relaxation of the throat. Head tilt back. Make sure it's straight and clear. Performers go through a lot of practice to freely control the esophageal supraesophageal machine. It suppresses the gag reflex, and then you have to actually perform with composure. When inserting and extracting, any shake can cut the esophagus, even damage the lungs and heart. The piercing performer will have a beautiful assistant. Put it above the room, and keep your balance. I have to rotate it a few times to set off the atmosphere. Then a scary scene is about to happen. The assistant's body slides down, gradually pierced directly out of his abdomen. Seems to have died on the spot. To prove that the sword did pass through the body, the performer gave the assistant another spin. When finally lifting the assistant off the sword, he came back intact. The mystery of this magic. On the clothes of the beautiful assistant, he was wearing a corset. There is a special steel plate on the back, can be perfectly stuck between. After a specific period of time, the sword will retract into the hidden base. It looks like it's puncturing the abdomen. At the same time, on the front of the tights, there is a sense of expansion and ejection. It looks like it's gradually piercing the abdomen. When the performer lifts the assistant, all the mechanisms are back in place. The blade swallowing performer will first find a volunteer. Cut paper with a blade to check if the blade is genuine. Then swallow a few tablets directly, and open your mouth to show the audience. Then he grabbed a bunch of blades. This time, he swallowed all the blades in one bite. Take another sip of the green drink and swallow the blade. Finally, he shoved a string of red string into his mouth. After a while, the rope wears a dozen blades. It was pulled out neatly. So what's going on here? In fact, the first few blades are indeed real, but not that sharp at all. Volunteers were able to cut through the paper. It's because the performer pulls the paper very tightly. The stewed blade can also be easily cut open. And the original blade was not swallowed. Just shifted to one side of the cheek. And then a bunch of blades is transferred to the other side. And it's completely uncommitted. When the performers drink green drinks, take the opportunity to spit out the original blade, and that string of red rope is actually tucked into the upper lip. The viewer sees the rope going through the blade. In fact, it has always been tied to the blade. It's just that it was obscured by the performer's approach. It's covered. A beautiful assistant crawls into a cardboard box. The performer directly picks up several long-haired puncture cartons. These long hairs travel at an incredible speed, puncture from different angles. This is a strong demand from the audience. It had to be punctured from above the carton. The performer put on an expression of necessity, strictly pierced the spear from top to bottom. Just when everyone thought beautiful women would die, he actually crawled out of the box unharmed. The secret to this magic is that the assistant must hide under the bottom 2 steel plates. Long hair naturally can't hurt him in the slightest. Sometimes you have to wear a protective vest to avoid accidents, and the last long hair seems to have been stabbed. But the puncture speed is very slow. The assistant has enough reaction time. Adjust your position according to the direction of the long hair to avoid him. Finally, the assistant crawls out of the box. Since the steel plate is covered with a layer of cardboard, the audience can't see the trajectory at all. The trick of drilling heads with an electric drill, although I know he can't be real. But how does he work? In fact, the drill used by the performers, it can't be sharp. The rest depends on the acting talent. The act of the performer pressing the drill hard, it's actually just a light touch to the temple, in conjunction with exaggerated facial expressions, enough to conquer the majority of melon eaters. More professional performers also insert garlic cloves into their nostrils or throats. This is the same principle as swallowing arrows. The performer needs to be able to control the esophageal supra freely. The drill didn't spin at all. Just with the help of sound effects, it can show good results.